Hello and welcome to the pod. I am your host, John Baker, and we are back with Vanderpump Rules Part 2 reunion. And I thought it was a pretty good show. I had high expectations. So I'm sorry. I had really high expectations for the show, and I felt like it did not meet my expectations. So Allison is back with us, and so is
Hey
Taylor and
guys.
Alan.
Hello,
Hi.
hello.
So welcome back, guys. What did you guys think of the episode last night?
Yeah, I mean, like Allison was, we also had another debriefing, but yeah, like similar vibes. Like it wasn't the best of the three, that's for sure. It's like the first one we had like everybody's first initial like out of the gate kind of stuff, and then it's like I think the next one we'll get a good finale.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a really good finale. What'd you think,
Yeah.
Allison?
I think the good stuff's gonna be at the end. I
Yeah.
think all of it's gonna be at the end.
Yeah.
It seemed they kind of were drawing out some parts, like whole like Raquel and Tom sort of like the during lunch thing. I feel like they're really drawing things out to kind of. It almost seemed just kind of you could almost like skip this episode and just watch part one and then maybe part three. It just kind of seemed
Yeah.
there wasn't a whole lot going on here.
Like maybe they could have just made like two really long episodes. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
like-
The one thing that like kind of irritated me just a little bit was like how they focused on Schwartz for the lunch deal. Like I felt like we didn't need to like see, even though it was kind of funny, but
yeah,
like felt like
yeah,
total filler.
yeah, definitely.
I guess they
Yeah.
had to give him time though,
I guess
because he
so,
wasn't with
did-
anyone.
and he didn't do,
So
and he didn't
Oh
say
yeah.
anything.
no, and that's what he did. So they were like, I guess they didn't want people to wonder what Schwartz was doing.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
hand to
Yeah,
Schwartz
that's
doing
true.
push-ups.
Yeah.
It's a good call.
Yeah. Very on brand. Yeah.
Yeah, and then this episode just picked up right from where part one did, and they were instantly fighting still, and I just found it. I don't know. I got really irritated with Sandoval because he wants everyone else to take accountability for everything they've done, but he doesn't want to take any accountability for anything that he's done.
Right.
And I just thought that was insanely frustrating. And the other thing that like really started to bother me with Sandoval throughout the show is that every time the camera panned to him, he instantly was just
Yeah.
like if we could get a side eye counter, I feel like that would be like I feel like Bravo would do something really sneaky like that and just count that in, but it was
Right.
bothering me every time the camera panned, he just
Right.
looking around to see what everybody else was saying or whatever.
Like between him doing that and then the whole cutting to Raquel and her rolling her eyes like constantly. Like I love the compilations that people have made of like all
Yeah.
of the time she rolled her eyes, and at least in the first one. But yeah, no, yeah, and I feel like too, like we see Tom like start to crack more this episode. I think that
Yeah.
was like at least the one. I totally agree. It was like a filler, and then it's like that was at least the one satisfying thing about this episode is like, oh, he's crumbling. He is quickly
Yeah.
falling.
Where he even
Yeah.
walked outside at the end there and was like, "I'm blowing it."
Yeah.
He even knew that he was just sort of like he could not get out of it. Yeah. He's losing it. Definitely
Yeah.
losing it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
When the first thing you do is walk outside and you start ripping heaters and you're
Yeah.
and you're carrying a Diet Coke, you're in some deep stuff. You're in the deep waters.
Yeah. And him and LVP both. I mean, I think this episode also just goes more into her digging her own hole too. Like it's like at least yeah. What were you saying?
I just feel like she knows. I just have this weird feeling that she's lying and that she I feel like she had to have known like long before than what she's saying. I don't know how she hasn't, and I feel like we talked about that a little bit last week, but like I don't know. I get some weird fishy vibes out of her still.
Yeah.
And I guess that's she always defends the Toms, but I don't know. I just felt like that was completely unnecessary. Like she did not need to step in there. I felt like even though she was still trying to get control, like I don't know, it just was really irritating to me.
Right.
But
Yeah,
then Tom pulling that like snide comment out to Lala though, right in the beginning there too. Like we had to rewind it several times because I didn't hear what he said. He like said it so fast.
Which
that
one?
The IUD one.
Yeah. That's
that was borderline
not
hateful. Like,
yeah.
And what does it have to do with anything? Like, he's grasping at straws right now, and it's like, just stop.
Right. Like, it's not for you to comment on. Just don't say anything.
No.
Like, that's not.
He's just searching for any sort of comeback or anything that can try to make him feel better, I think, in the moment.
Right.
And he's just going for anything that's going to hurt somebody else at this point.
Yeah.
Right. Grasping for straws.
So bad.
Yeah. And
hurt people.
Yeah. And like, even like the whole, like, with that comment too, it's like, not only is it not okay to comment on it, but like, she was probably doing, I mean, they're usually a scheduled thing. You don't just, I mean, she could have just been on schedule to also get it out. So like, that's not, but again, though, it goes back to the whole point. It's not for him to say anything.
Yeah.
Very gross. Very gross. And I liked Andy, the James again getting up again, and then him being like, "Stay in your chair." Or I think at this scene he was walking back.
Yeah.
Because I think he had stormed out at the end of last episode, and then he was coming back, and then Andy's telling him to stay in his chair again, and he's like, "Sorry." Like some of just the way he said stuff this episode too, it's just as good as the first episode.
Yeah, and the way that he just always was just like, well, I have to pee. Well, like, what about the other, like, other 4 reunions that you've done before this now, where like you never got up before? So like,
yeah.
It might be because he forgot his meds, though.
Yeah, we can
like. I'm just saying, when I don't take mine, I get up and go to the bathroom a lot more, just because I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's going on, and I'm just like thinking about everything. I'm not like focusing on what's going on.
Yeah, that's true.
And so like I've noticed that a lot about myself, and I thought that last night when I watched it. I was like, is this like a nervous tick, like gotta get up, gotta go do something?
That's true.
Because he said I get mad and I get like, oh, and then I just have to pee. I'm sorry. Like
I'm sorry. Sorry, Andy.
Yeah. The funny thing that you mentioned the meds, because Schwartz, I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but what was that? Like, who just like is just popping casual Xannies? Like, he wanted people to be like, oh, look at this guy. He had a real look at me Louis moment there, and like he didn't get the reaction that he was looking for, like, at all. But
because everybody's just like, what the hell are you doing?
Like he was just willingly like, oh yeah, like I don't actually take these ever, like once a month, and then like Sandoval was like, no, they're your medication, like, and Schwartz was like, well, like I take them like once a month, like. Dude, man, was a train wreck. Dude's falling apart. Both of them are falling apart, and it's bad.
And I didn't like Tom Sandoval during that scene of just like I think we had talked about it this morning, like how he started of being like, oh, like, what are you doing? Like, he also kind of like commented on it at first, just like, what the hell? And then whenever everybody else started chiming in of just like, Schwartz, what are you doing? Like, then and kind of calling him out, but not like in a mean way, just kind of like, what's happening? Like, what's going on over there? Then Tom Sandoval's like, what are you talking? Like, what are you doing? What do you mean? Like, no, those are your meds. Like, no. It's not that serious. Like, take a breath, calm down. Like, I don't know where you're coming from with that energy, but like, and that was like, I think that's where we were seeing like maximum peak breakage, and like, and too, I'm sure like just the stress of her coming out, not to like give him any leeway, but like I'm sure that he was crumbling because she was like actively on her way out, and like, and he's like trying to climb to like take some sort of higher ground over them before she gets out there, but it was like over Schwartz's meds. Like, no, that's not worth that. Especially a silly scene like that.
And then like that kind of like when the IUD thing happened with Sandoval, that kind of led into this like Randall stuff. And did you guys watch the Hulu documentary yet?
Yep, we did.
Yeah, we watched it too. That was a wild one. I was not expecting that at all. Just certified dirtbag.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like on par with like, I mean, as Lala's been saying, like Tom Sandoval is gonna be, I mean, he already is Randall and he's just gonna keep going. I mean, they're both narcissists. They're both manipulative, pathological liars. Like they can't help them. I don't like saying they can't help themselves because like I feel like that's giving them something, but like you
Yeah.
know, but it's like literally like they're just awful people, and it's like they, and like the whole that the Harvey Weinstein thing, like that's wild. That
Yeah.
I feel like
he's
that's a dead
insane.
giveaway that he's
Yeah.
guilty.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. Like who goes out of their way to get that guy? Like,
Yeah.
like I mean, unless you are guilty of
hmm
like clearly guilty of doing the same thing that
Yeah.
he did. Like,
Well, I'm not sure it's giving yourself away, and that might be the only person that works with those kind of people.
oh well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's the only person
That,
left.
well, yeah. That's actually a good
Right.
call.
True.
He might be like the only guy on standby for calls like these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even then, he just does it for the money, probably. Like,
I mean, probably.
Yeah,
I
and then
don't-
the other
yeah.
thing for like, since we're talking about Randall, like, congrats to Lala too for being like 4.5 years sober as well. Like,
yeah.
good for her, especially from where she was like in those early seasons to now. Like, it's a complete 180 of a person.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She talked about it some like on her podcast too, and that's pretty nice. Sometimes like she says like she has like nightmares and stuff of like relapsing, but it's nice to hear that like she still sticks with it, and like I hope someday too. Like I think it would be really nice for her to be like a sponsor for like James. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if that would ever come back around of James trying to get sober again, but
Mhm.
I think that would be something nice to see because I think they're clearly like what is it like a twin flame or something, like they might not
Yeah.
be like ever get together again or ever
I
get
want them
married
to.
or I would
Yeah.
too. I would too, but I'm also like I love Allie.
Yeah.
I think she's also pretty good for him. So then it's like, I'm
Yeah.
okay if that doesn't happen, but then it's like, but regardless, I think they're always going to be each other's like person, like
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then what the other thing too with if we're staying within the like the show opening, like I gotta go back to Lisa again because she just like doubled down again on James sleeping with Kristen, and it was like, why are we bringing that up again? Like, yeah, we know that like James like obviously had motives to get on the show, but like they're two like we talked about this last week, but there were two totally different situations. Like they're not even
Right.
remotely the same.
Right. Yeah. It's like she doesn't back down. Like, and like, it's like she goes hard for everybody else and is it's like trying to call out everybody else's shit to either make Sandoval's shit smell less stinky or like, or like, it's like she just it's like grasping for straws to help him out. And you can't it's uncomparable. You just can't compare to that.
Yeah, they're like not even close. But yeah, and then so we already kind of talked about the lunch break a little bit with Schwartz, but this lunch break with Raquel was just it just further like just the more that Raquel opens her mouth throughout the two reunion shows, the more I'm just like, just stop talking. Like you're just digging yourself a worse hole, and it's just like she doesn't think about anything beforehand, she just does. And just the fact that like they were like, well, we didn't lie about anything other than the affair, and I was just like, what? Like, what is that? Like it's not even comparable. And I did write one of the quotes down here, and I don't have them up right now. Whenever they were talking about the fashion deal, how they were like, she started asking Sandoval about how like, well, it seemed like what you told me like, obviously I only know your side. And then that was like, okay, obviously he's a pathological
Yeah.
liar.
Right.
And then she was like saying about how like your side, and it seemed like it was actually like really good. And then he was like, well, she told me about how like my clothes, you can I couldn't wear that, but then she was like, oh, like you can wear what you want because fashion. And it's like that made no sense. He was literally like just grasping for every straw that he could possibly find in the cabinet at that point.
Yeah.
And that was, I started laughing because you could clearly tell that like if you could have pulled his face open and saw what was going on inside his head, like the gears were moving so fast in there that like they couldn't even keep up with what he was doing.
Right.
Well, I think it was like the moment where I think Raquel realized on camera that she was being lied to somewhat.
Yeah.
And then he was caught in this lie and had to think of everything on his feet. And he could not come up with a good excuse. So he came up with, well, I couldn't wear the clothes I wanted to wear.
Right.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
It was so bad.
And even like she was like, I feel like she felt like you wanted to keep the relationship working because you never broke up with her. And then he's like, yes, in a sense. Like, no, like that's literally what she thought. I mean, that's why she was complimenting you, because she was working on the relationship that you guys went to couples therapy about. Like she was actively making active efforts to be a more supportive partner and give you what you want, because it's always the attention. Like, and then it's like, but yet he's like, well, I mean, dude, no, like you can't make up any excuse for that. Like you guys were in a good place, and at least at like air quotes good place, like under Ariana's assumptions at that moment, at that point in time.
Yeah.
And like he can't come back from that. Like there's no way to try to spin that to make you look good. But like he's actively sitting there, like you said, like trying to be like, what can I say to her in this moment? Like, because now she's kind of seeing it crumble too, of just like, oh, like that's not what you told me. And like, I don't know.
Well, there was the thing that I found interesting about that is when they first walked in and like he was like, oh, you look good. And then all they did was hug. Like they didn't do anything else. Like I don't know if that was just pure act, but they were acting like they
won't kiss on camera.
It felt so fake, like what they were doing. And
he said that though. He said, this feels fake. I want you guys to stop filming. And it's I don't understand how many times he needed to be explained to that we will not turn the camera off if you're with somebody else.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know, but turn it off. And okay, we won't do that. Okay, do it. Like,
stop filming me. Like,
such a baby.
And then he kicked over his soda, and then like Raquel like went to pick it up. Like, just like
he was literally throwing a baby tantrum. Like that's what I wrote at least 3 times. Throwing a baby fit. Every time in my notes that he threw a baby fit, I wrote down throwing a baby fit. Like he was like on one. I just don't.
I thought it was really telling that he walked in, they did the whole thing, like the weird hug, the weird conversation. Then he walks out and he comes back and it's like, okay, can we talk for real and can we turn the cameras off?
Yeah, like they
tried to just completely showed that everything he does is like is fake.
In the whole coaching thing. I mean, it completely backs the whole thing of you were coaching the rat. You were constantly coaching the rat. Like you did it before you came in. You're trying to do it before she comes out. Like. And you can't, like, they're not allowing you that. Like, why did he even think that they would be like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Like,
I think he's just panicking because he has to switch up his lies now. And he has to get her on board because of what he's already kind of gotten under and what he said that he shouldn't have said or what someone else has said. And so he's got to, like, retrain her because he was like, I couldn't figure out why he kept telling her what happened when he knew she already watched it. And I think it's because he needed her to see it the way he wanted her to see it so that she could say what he wanted her to say. They're making us out to look like liars, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, yeah, I was watching it. And he was like, okay, I'm going to keep telling you about it. And it's like, she already said she was watching it.
Yeah.
I did the whole time.
That totally did not even, I don't know how that didn't strike me, but yeah, literally she did watch it. Like she
It pissed me off.
Her own opinions.
Yeah, like
yeah.
don't mansplain what she just saw with her own eyes. Don't do that.
And because she's sitting here trying to bring up to you the fact that she didn't like how it came up on like the whole talk of the relation, like just have that conversation. Like don't sit there, like you said, like then try to take her offside and be like, well, no, it really wasn't that way. Like, don't worry, babe. Like it wasn't like that. Like, no, it was. And you said it on camera. She watched it. Like, and it is what happened. Like, you can't come back from that.
No.
Just own it. Like,
the the other quote that I have here is that he said, "I'm in a very delicate position."
Oh wait, what was it again? I'm in a very
delicate position.
Oh my gosh! Wait, was this with Raquel?
Yeah, that's whenever he was outside. He was he was throwing the tantrum outside. It was that camera that was sitting inside the trailer shooting out the window.
Yeah. Oh
and
he's like, position. Like he was like a baby.
Yeah. Oh, that was so good. Oh my gosh. Like that one, if it wouldn't have, I feel like that the whole lunch scene kind of saved it a little bit, the whole episode, because
it was like more real.
Yeah. Because he clearly came in with the idea to do a scripted scene with Raquel and then didn't get that. And then he like exactly what you said, Alan, like he came back in and wanted the filming to stop and he didn't get it. And that was totally worth the episode for that little tantrum.
I also liked like the other gang, like their group lunch too. Like even Ariana being like, well, guess what? Like once she starts putting the demands on a relationship and making it an actual relationship, like it's all gonna come crumbling down, just like how like when I was done being the fun pool girl, like then he was done with me, and it's the same thing was gonna happen. Like, I liked seeing their interactions too. Like if it, like you said, it did feel nice and easy and real. And then Schwartz just over there doing push-ups.
I thought it was really funny when you sent it to me. Like in our group, like when you send it in the group, I thought it was hilarious, like during the day, and then when you saw it in the context of the episode, it was just like, what are we doing? Like,
right? Yeah. I didn't realize it was.
Because he's not doing well at all, and he's just not man enough to tell Schwartz, or he's not man enough to tell Sandoval how pissed he is at him.
Right. Yeah.
Which is the exact reason why Katie left him, or like one of the reasons why Katie had issues with him in the first place.
Right. And like that's what it's sad, and then it also makes me angry though, because he could have just done the right thing and chosen the right side. You know, like
instead of being a goofball.
He would have been welcomed at that lunch, I think, if he would have aligned himself from the very beginning, strict allegiance, like told Ariana back when or at least had a conversation with her, maybe similar to like how Sheena tried to, just like, hey, what's going on? He could have done, if he would have just done all of those things in a different way and in a better way from the get-go, I think he could have aligned more with the left side of the room and they would have had him at lunch. And like, but like that, then it's like, well, I can't pick up when he's down. Like, no, you can. He deserves it. Like, you and LVP don't have to do his bidding. Like, he's a grown-ass 40-year-old man. He can do it himself.
Yeah. And I think that's funny. I think it's funny how James, every time he has a comeback, he's like, well, you're a 40-year-old man. And like, it's just the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah. Right. Awesome. Right. A 40-year-old man with what did we say last week? Emotional age of like a 16-year-old. And like Lala said, that you have not changed since we saw you back on season 1 of this show. Like, still the same Scandoval. But like, how many years later?
And then after lunch, actually, it was really cool how like everyone was just kind of sitting there together, and they were just like, they weren't Sandoval. I kind of felt like Sandoval thought that they were all going to sit at lunch and try to get their quote unquote stories together, but like all they were doing was just sitting there, just like eating lunch and just doing whatever. Like they just wanted to like just get Raquel on the show finally. But that was kind of it was just really weird to see Sandoval, like his wheels were spinning, and then like you go over to everybody else and they're just like calm, cool, and collected, just like whatever, like we're eating lunch now, like, and he's over there throwing a tantrum. Like the two sides that they filmed that's what I thought was interesting too.
Yeah.
But then they came back from the commercial break, and that's whenever Allie came on the show.
Yeah. I was excited that Allie started watching it during COVID like us. And then I thought to myself today during lunch, I was like, oh my God, what if that was me? Like, what if I was Allie and we started watching it at the same time, and like I leave and go out to California.
Okay, insert poor Alan.
Yeah, insert poor Alan.
And then I get myself, I wouldn't go to James Kennedy. I don't know how I would have. That's a good question. If you wanted to get on the show, how would you have tried to get on the show?
I thought you meant you'd literally like be Allie.
Oh no.
Oh,
I
see.
just meant like her whole scenario of like never watching it and then watching it during COVID, and now she's on the show. I'm like, that's amazing. Like,
yeah. Well, like we said last week,
how would you guys try to get on the show?
I think we talked about it last week that the weakest link is Kristen, no matter what. Like,
that's true.
Like all you had to do was just become friends with Kristen, and Kristen would lug you along to something with the rest of the cast, and then
I would just befriend Schwartz. Like,
well, that too. It would be super
so
easy. Yeah, that would be really true.
Alan had a quick reaction to that. I think he would also do this. He's like, yeah, definitely.
He's definitely the in, like for sure.
Yeah. Easiest one.
Yeah. Katie said it last night. Like,
he's definitely the most
vulnerable. Anyone.
He's definitely the most vulnerable right now.
Yeah.
Like, if anyone was going to get on the show and you wanted to do it through Schwartz, like now is the perfect time to do it. If he does like come back to the show, which I'm assuming he will. What else is he going to do?
And like, Katie's delivery wasn't great, but know that those things she's been saying to him for how long? In a nicer way, I'm sure.
I mean, there's not much to harp on with it, but like, I guess it is. You said about how she's been saying it throughout their whole marriage, and
in a nice way, I'm sure.
Right, and how he puts other people above her because like he's always out just trying to make friends or is friends with so many people because
he just wants to be accepted. Like that's it.
Right.
I don't think that it's like I need another friend. It's just like if I meet a person, they have to accept me, and I think he knows Katie doesn't care about that as much as he does. Like, if it comes between her standing up for something she believes in and people liking her, she's gonna pick standing up for herself, and he doesn't.
Right. Yeah. And I think she has so much built up resentment from that that like I totally get it. Like, and like the fact, and we might have touched on this last week, but like no matter what, everybody's usually gonna side with Schwartz, and most people never side with Katie because of I mean, could she maybe use some work sometimes on her delivery or just on like the making big things out of little things? Like sometimes I think she does get a little bit too much on and stuff, but I'm also like, if I was married to Schwartz or was dating Schwartz, I would probably be pretty frustrated.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure little things do become big things over time. So
yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, not a great way of how she the serial friendships.
Serial killers vectoring.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And then so like whenever Allie came on, the show started to focus on James and her together, and there were some interesting things in there too, especially like whenever he was talking about Raquel's mom, like and then like either Raquel is either brain dead or she like just like she had nothing, because her face was just like yeah she did that, like okay, what's wrong with that?
She's not a good liar.
She
needs a lot of coaching. So that's why I was like, she's not even moving her face. You know that it actually happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And like I didn't get I also like the rest of the group, like whenever he brought that up, everybody, even Allie was kind of like, what are you talking about, the penis size and her mom? Like everybody was kind of just like caught off guard, like, James, what does this have to do with anything? Like I mean, and I get it. Because I think it started with they were talking about how James said awful things about Raquel's parents, which like Allie did not, which good for her. Allie was like, no, I did not like that. I do not ever think you should use the word bad. Like, I think that was good that she, and I think we did see that from her a lot this season of standing up and just being like calling him out, even though it's him, and like he would get pissy about it, but.
Well, I think there's a couple different times like she like would just like get up and remove herself from the situation and she wasn't gonna stand by him while he was acting out.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was hard for her to sit up on that stage too because he was a little problematic during.
Yeah.
Like some of the, I mean that alone was kind of just like James, like you're a little off course right now, like get back on track, and then. It just was like unnecessary, but then him also like it was the defensiveness behind the whole. Well, I mean, her parents did and said this stuff, like, and it's like, no, we don't. No.
It was also just unfortunate because that whole him just kind of going off the rails just for a little bit kind of gave Tom Sandoval an opening to jump back in to kind of get pressure off of him, just kind of throw James direct underneath the bus.
Right. Yeah, that was and then he took that opportunity with that whole like gig where they apparently got quote unquote thrown out. Like that was literally the opening that Sandoval was looking for to try to take James down. And I don't think that it worked, but it was just another way to try to get James off his game and get James even more pissed. And
like you said, get the heat off of him. Like, well, you're bad, like like a child would. Of just like you call them out. Well, no, you did it first. Like,
well, I thought it was really smart, or like I thought it was a really clever comeback too for James whenever he mentioned that. Well, he's like, "What's okay for you two to meaning Sandoval and Schwartz for them to just go hang out and drink everywhere, but like as soon as James has one drink, well, everyone thinks he's a psychopath." And I thought that was like pretty quick on his feet to like just say, well, like don't point when you point fingers, there's three pointing back at you. Like you're not, you're just as fault as I. Like just because I had one drink and I was trying to yell because I was uncomfortable in a situation, like I thought that it was a bad section for James, and after he was up on a super high. It just kind of felt like this is where he kind of bottomed out a little bit. So, I mean,
I wish he would have just taken accountability. Like, I think my perfect scenario for him in that situation would have been he would have just said, "Yes, I was drunk. I did it. I grabbed her ass or a waitress's ass." Like owning it, taking accountability. Don't get defensive back. Just. If only he would have done that and just could have worn it on his sleeve, because then it's kind of like, James, you are kind of, I mean, nobody stoops as low as Tom Sandoval, but still, I mean, you're kind of going down that path of you're trying to call him out for stuff, but then and for getting defensive, and you know what I mean? Like that whole side of the room is going hard at Tom for those reasons. But then it's like James is kind of doing the same thing, like getting defensive, not taking account all the things. And I just wish, I mean, I get he was kind of put on the spot about it and he probably doesn't want to talk about it, but like it's out there. I mean, and I'm sure it's public knowledge too. I mean, I'm sure it's not just like something that Tom like is throwing out there. I don't know. I mean, I didn't look into it to see if it was already written about.
I think the only thing I didn't like is that it was like he said, she said, and it was kind of like Sandoval just threw it on the floor, and it's kind of like there was nothing anyone could have done to prove it one way or the other, and it felt like deflection. But I also do feel like James could have handled it better because he deflected it back.
Right, yeah. So it's just like the defensiveness made me like, oh, Tom, not Tom, James, like, did this happen? Like,
I think he did admit it later. He said, yeah, so I did smack her ass, but then like he did, and then he kind of went away from it again.
Right, like you said, like the deflecting of just like, well, you guys do that, like you guys also get drunk, which also like I liked Lala during that scene too, because she like kind of went for James to just like chill out, like you're being too much right now, and also then turning around to the Toms and being like, I don't like you said, John, I don't think you guys can be the ones to put anything on him whenever you guys are also out drinking and are very heavy drinkers. Like, that's not fair. Like, just don't say anything. It's not for you to bring on it.
Right.
Out.
Yeah. And then so they went to, and then James went out and stormed off again, but
yeah. Oh, and that scene too, I also wanted to say, like, whenever, well, like, Tom was getting defensive and like, oh, I don't do bad things when I drink, and then everybody on the left was like, you fucked the best friend, like, and then he's like, is that everybody's get out of jail free card this episode? And James is like, literally, yes it is, Tom, like, get over
at least
it.
when you open your mouth, like, Sandoval can't talk. If someone else wants to say it, okay, maybe, but you just need to sit there and shut up.
Yeah, like, it literally. And like, sorry, but like, you fucked the best friend. So yeah, they are gonna throw that in your face any opportunity they get, because everybody is bitter. Everybody is mad. And reasonably so.
Right. And then we had another commercial break, and then it went right into Sheena. They brought back, and they came back with Sheena and Brock's wedding. And I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about Sheena and Brock. I'm on the fence with them still.
Did you guys like their wedding?
Yeah, I know. I like the wedding.
What are you on the fence for?
Because like everyone, I guess because at certain points of the show, we were like, he's clearly doing this for a green card. And like they talked about it a lot, but like
it's like between them.
Yeah.
I personally feel like that's between them. That's not for us to judge. Sheena has already admitted, he needed a green card and I wanted to get him a green card. It's the same thing as men in the military marrying women that they met in high school and blah 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 blah, and because they're gonna
marrying for or insurance.
It's the same. Is that fraud though? Marrying for
maybe it is. I don't know. But like, I guess if we were dating, I mean, I guess your one cousin did that, didn't they? I mean, but they were dating for a long time, and then they were like, she needed like to get better insurance, so then they just got married.
We just won't give names.
But they were planning on getting married. Maybe cut that out. I don't know.
Okay.
I was gonna say it depends.
They were planning on getting married. They just did it way sooner than.
Don't panic now. You're fine. It's fine.
Alan's like, oh god.
They're fine. It's fine.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I like Brock, but I don't know. I just feel like Sheena sometimes she just annoys the shit out of me. And I don't know what it is about her.
You used to think that I annoyed the shit out of you, and then you married me, so.
Well, I'm not.
So you eventually like Sheena. There you go.
I guess so. But
do you guys like Brock's hair? Short?
Yeah.
I liked it long.
Oh,
but I like it both ways.
He had a good set.
I just like him. I just think he has a very good heart. Like
I
like
really
him. I'm just on the fence with Sheena, which I guess that's my whole thing. Like, it's not about them; it's more on Sheena's side.
But why?
Like
but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't.
Are
know.
you just being judgy?
I think you're just being judgy. Yeah.
Stop.
Oh.
She looks like a great mom, if that means anything.
Yeah, so then judge on that.
Yeah,
I'll put something positive in here.
There we go. Yeah, she is a great mom. Summer Moon's the cutest of all the VPR babies, I think. Between like her, Stassi, Brittany, and Lala.
I don't know what any other babies look like that much to sit here and judge them. So
Summer Moon is adorable. She is so cute. She's so cute.
It's just the name. I can't back that name. It's like they took two nursery rhyme subjects and just put them together.
Yeah. What about
we got
Ocean?
A name.
Do you guys like Ocean? Lala's.
I love Lala, so I like that.
Yeah.
And I'm biased, and I'll just admit it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a cool name.
It depends on the meaning, I guess, behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just seem like, dude, they just sound like classic LA baby names.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, good LA
That's
vibe.
true.
Yeah, California girls.
Yeah.
But I going back to their marriage though, I really like the whole thing where she's like, "Yeah, we've been married for a while."
I
Like,
love
I
that.
love that.
Yeah.
It's just so, and her reasoning was so cute of just like, I wanted it to be our secret, like,
Yeah.
because I'm always like, that's so nice, like when couples can have just like that thing that's between
I
them.
said that multiple times.
That you thought that they were already married?
No, I wanted to do that with you.
Oh.
Oh,
But still, and I told him because he
Yeah.
wanted the wedding, and I told him like, then we'll go do that. But
yeah.
I just want to be married, and you were like, no, then it's not real or something. I don't remember what you said, but
I don't know if I said that.
yeah, you did. You did because you took it very seriously. We're not going to go into that right now.
Oh no.
But like it was like getting close to midnight the night before, and he was like, "We can't be near each other." It's like we're not
Yeah,
supposed
you
to
don't
see
want
each other.
you don't want that bad juju. I don't want that bad juju. I'm not supposed to see her until she came down the aisle. And
Okay.
that's
Anyways,
less about our wedding, more about Sheena and Brock's.
I liked their wedding. I thought it was beautiful and not. I didn't think it was overdone. Like the stuff
Yeah.
before leading up to it, a little overdone. The actual wedding itself, like I
Mhm.
thought it was really nice.
Coincidentally, they had it at a Secrets with Sheena and Brock's
I
wedding.
was wondering if
Yeah.
that's where it was at.
Yeah.
I don't. It's called like Oceana or something though.
Yeah, it was, but they had the
Yeah.
same, because that's like the same place that we kind of went for our honeymoon. Because when they went into Bordeaux, that place called Bordeaux,
Oh,
like
that's
right.
Yeah.
That's
He
the
did
French
tell me about
place.
that. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the French place where we would eat. Like,
So you like their wedding for that?
sure,
Okay.
similarities.
I think it was good for them because this would be Sheena's third marriage? Because she married two. I'm pretty sure or is it only her second?
It's only her second, I think.
Because there was, I forget what the other guy's name is.
The
I thought there was
Rob,
another guy.
she didn't marry Rob.
Maybe
I
that's
think
what I'm thinking of.
That's
Yeah,
the TV guy.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were close, weren't they, to getting married?
Yeah.
I think she thought they were.
They were. Oh, she thought they were, but they
Yeah.
obviously weren't. Yeah,
I don't know. I
can't remember.
I don't know if they actually
Darn
were.
it.
She got him a penguin.
That's
But-
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I thought they were married because she got him a penguin. I guess.
Yeah.
A equals B, obviously.
Yeah. But yeah, so we mentioned the Tom and Katie deal when they were sitting in Bordeaux, but then this is where like Tom and Katie had like a little bit of a fight like during the show. It's just Tom always prioritized everybody else but Katie, and that was obvious here. Like I don't know. Her quote was insanely funny that, he is a serial killer's wet dream and that he'll just literally become friends with anybody. It does not matter what. And it's long history of diminishing friendships. And Schwartz was up here, and then throughout all of this, he's just taken a complete nosedive. And you can tell that he's taken a nosedive too. Like dude is not doing well.
Right.
And you can like see it in his face.
Left side of the room is on their way up. I mean, except for James's little, his little moments. But then the whole right side of the room, LVP, Tom Sandoval, Tom Schwartz are just
Yeah.
really big in the hole. Like, and yeah, I think that part too. Andy asked Allie, like, I think because they cut back to her of their relationship and how Lala and Raquel constantly, maybe not constantly, but a couple of times throughout the season, we saw them pull Allie aside and like have those little moments of like, oh, watch out, like it's not that bad now, but like just wait. And like Andy saying like if she would have wished that she would have told Lala and Raquel butt out, or if she was like okay with them doing that. And I liked her answer. I thought that her being like, in the moment it was what it was, and like making friends and stuff. But looking back on it, I probably would have said something and told them butt out. And I think I would have too. Like, I think.
Yeah. And then then I guess, Lisa was calling out Lala for crying and saying that she wanted her to see more of a sensitive side than always an angry side. And
Yeah.
I know that
Because
you and
that came
Allison
up with
talked about that too.
yeah, and that scene was after was that when I forget what warranted because Lala was she saying like she was
When she went to Allie and like to warn her.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
She didn't want the
yeah.
same thing to happen to her.
Yeah,
And then she
that's
got like
right.
emotional about the being protective over her and stuff.
Right. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And sorry, John. Yeah, like you were saying too, what Allison and I talked about was just like covering LVP bringing that up and calling her out on it, or not calling her out, but just being like, "Oh no, no, like I like this side of you." Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't. It just seemed very condescending. And
Yeah, it did. And kind
very,
of like she was trying to manipulate kind
yeah.
of like the situation or the conversation around Lala.
Right.
I didn't
Right.
like that. It felt weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I wrote, and sorry, what were you
I just think that's been Lisa the whole reunion. She's just been weird the entire
Yeah.
time. Like, just she doesn't know what to do with herself. So I feel like she's just trying to play defense or just try to like
the referee, but
or
like
try to get some
Yeah.
sort of control over what's going on and just can't.
Or be
She's ever-
relevant. Like
Yeah.
Oh,
she's
yeah.
desperate for that.
Yeah,
But
and
they're
that
mad
brings-
at her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that even brings up the one point. Oh, whenever they were talking about how Lala met Randall and how she was at the restaurant and like his like assistant was asking about her manager and her contacts and stuff, and then LVP's like, oh well, he must have been talking about
Peter.
what's this Peter?
Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like even Katie was like, no, like
Yeah.
like I love that scene because it's just like you just said, Allison, it's like she is so trying her hardest to be relevant.
Same way as
and,
Tom.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
they can be relevant. They'll try.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Have some sort of storyline to go on. And that scene too made me angry thinking about it more today with LVP calling out Lala about the crying and stuff because I was just like whenever at the beginning of the season she sat down with Lala and the whole Randall scandal and her going to Lala and being like, well, you should have known, you should have like are you sure you didn't see things? Are you sure? Like very victim blamey and just it was not okay. And Lala obviously got very upset about it back at the beginning of the season. And like even in this scene, it's like, what LVP, like you can't do that. You can't be one way with her at the beginning of the season and then sitting down there now being like, oh well, yeah, I understand. Like you did go through a rough time. Let's see that. Like let's see that vulnerable side to you. And it's like, but yet you gaslit her at the beginning of the season to being like,
Yeah,
are you sure
I
you didn't know
feel
anything?
that could be because Lisa is seeing now how easy it is to miss the signs. If she
Yeah.
didn't know about the affair with
Right.
Tom and Raquel, she's probably like, oh man, I guess it is kind of hard maybe to see the signs, even though they're right in front of your
Right.
face. I could see
Right.
that being why she's trying to spin it, but I don't
Yeah.
know for sure. That might be giving her too much credit.
Yeah.
I wish I would have just seen like if that is what it is, like if that's what it was, I wish LVP would have just apologized. Like she just
Yeah.
needed to have some sort of formal apology to Lala for what she said at the beginning of the season, and then just being like, I'm glad to see this vulnerable side of you. I support you. I believe you. Like, I believe what you went through, I don't know.
Yeah, and then like the next thing that came up was the James, shouting at Allie, wanting to leave Canyon Club. And I don't know, I felt like this was another spot. This is like another like section that um it just I don't know, it just felt like they were really going at James again. and it was just another opening for everybody to try to get their stuff in on James after he rode the high of the first episode, and now it was like bringing him back down in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah. And like again in that scene, I wish James would have just been like, yeah, I shouldn't have. I mean, I think we did see some of that in the season, like James being like, we did kind of yell, I shouldn't have yelled at her. Like, I
think he was just overstimulated though.
Yeah.
Well, he even said that he was trying to get her to go, and they couldn't. He couldn't. He said he was hot or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And like the only reason I'm saying that is because he has said that exact same sentence. Like, I'm really effing hot. Get me the F out of here. He has said that to me.
Yeah.
Maybe not yelled it, but we've never been in a club, so you're not going to yell it.
Yeah.
So like, and then, we get him cooled off, and
literally
he does say, I'm so sorry. That was not about you. I was just really hot. And so I kind of, if that is the actual thing that James said, and because even Allie said, no one saw anything. He didn't push me. He didn't hurt me. No one was even there.
Was like, we weren't in a screaming match. Like she did say, like he like yelled, like directed at me, but like we weren't fighting. Like and I do, and and like you said too, like I don't know, Raquel shouldn't have made any comment about it. Like it was none of her business. How did she even know? Like it's not any of her.
There's pointing fingers.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
It just seemed like it was a waste. Honestly, it just seemed like it was a waste of time to kind of even go over it, because it was like nothing happened. What was it was solely to get the pressure off of Tom Sandoval and onto James more. And it was just a waste of time, because it was just it was a no big deal. According to James and Allie, who are the only people that were there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't get too why if Raquel felt any certain way about whatever happened at the club, why are you bringing it up on camera other than to make James look bad? Like, if you truly are trying to, like, get a relationship with Allie, or you really like Allie, or you guys think you could be friends, like, kind of stuff that she claimed throughout the season, why not just go sit down with Allie and be like, hey, was everything good the other night? Like, I don't know what was going on, but like I just want to check on you, make sure like if she truly felt like Allie was in an unsafe situation, why go talk about it on screen and make them both kind of look bad? Like, why wouldn't you just pull Allie aside, and if you truly were concerned about her and her well-being and actually wanted to be her friend, like
right.
And then I can't blame Allie for then getting mad at Raquel about it and just being like, she has no place to comment on it. Like, not only was she not there, but like, I don't know why she's now feeling like she can be the narrator on the situation.
Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
I was just going to talk by one in all bold caps in my notes why they didn't give Allie the deserved credit of being the one to pretty much, I mean, other than Lala bringing up her suspicions, okay, that we saw way back, I think way back at the very beginning of the season. But then Allie, who was the one who actively saw them at See You Next Tuesday, the same night that they then went home and had sex together for the first time, allegedly, like, or at least that's what Tom Sandoval is claiming. Like, Allie was the one to bring that. And nobody gave her any. They should have had a standing ovation for her as she walked off that stage. Like, and like everybody tries to be like, "Oh, well, Ken broke it," and it's like, no. That Allie needs to get her deserved credit for that, because she broke it. Nobody wanted to hear it. Nobody really gave her the time of day for it, and everybody was just kind of like, oh, yeah.
They got mad at her.
Yeah.
For even saying it. Sheena especially. Like, Sheena owes her an apology.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because she and then it became a whole thing at Beach Day then. Of like Tom getting mad and
yeah.
No. that she needs. I like Allie. I do. I like Allie. And I think she could earn her spot on here. I would watch her do tarot readings all day. I looked into getting a tarot reading from her, but they're very expensive.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
For her, because she should charge as much as she wants, because I'm sure people will pay for her to come do a tarot reading. So, but not me. So.
And yeah, and then they went to another commercial break, and then they came back with the restraining order against Raquel and Sheena. And they kind of talked about that a little bit, and you could tell that Sheena really, really, really wanted to lash out, but her restraint was very solid. So kudos to her for the restraint. But then like you have here on your notes, which you have 7. How many pages of notes do you have today? 7? I feel like we got to get it out there.
Yeah, I think it's 7. I think it's 7.
But they had
No, it's 8.
Oh, it's 8.
Oh no.
No, there's only like one. There's only like
right.
3 sentences on the last page.
Oh, okay.
Of mine.
Yeah, I do a lot of bullets too. I think that doesn't help me either.
Well, I feel like because last time we mentioned that you had 6 pages,
Yeah,
so we upped it. We upped it again.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Get ready for episode 3, guys. We're gonna write a book.
I feel like we're all gonna have some books after that one.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, this is where Lisa just did another disservice to herself. You know, like saying, like trying to step in and stick up for Sandoval again, saying that, well, I think she might have slapped her, and there's just like, there's no way that Sheena could like do anything with the small amount of scarring on Raquel's eyebrow, like that was completely fake to begin with. But like Sheena can't do anything with her nails. Like
she might have scratched her.
She might have scratched her, but like there's no way she could have punched her or anything like that. Like
she even said she might have scratched her.
Yeah,
when she pushed her.
Yeah, I just
that question was not even directed at LVP. Like it was directed at the group, and then like, and I'm sorry, I don't think LVP should, like, unless Andy directly asks her a question, like she just chimed in with that of just like, well, I think she slapped her. Like, no,
I don't feel like she should even be out there.
Yeah,
like, I don't think it's necessary at all.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What were you saying?
I was gonna say, honestly, nobody should be talking about an open assault case or an open case, an open court case on television.
Which
like that.
We saw Sheena trying to be like, I can't. Like,
well, Lisa even chiming in that she even thinks that something physical occurred during with a court case open like that. That's really, really bad for Sheena. Like that was such a dumb thing to say.
Right.
Well, I think that's why she snapped at Tom.
Yes. Yeah.
And she was like, "Shut your mouth."
Right.
Yeah,
and I would feel so betrayed if I were Sheena, at least to Tom too, but to LVP especially, because it's like, first of all, nobody asked you, and second of all, like that. I mean, LVP's their boss. That's an authority figure. Like if LVP is sitting up there, like Raquel's legal team could maybe see that and be like, oh, well, bring her in. Like maybe she knows something, or she can attest to Sheena's character of being violent or something. Like, you know, or they could try to use LVP saying that as like a character witness, or I don't know. They could just try to grab at straws. I mean, granted, we see that like it was dismissed anyways, but still, it was like at that point LVP didn't know that, so she just needed to shut her mouth. Like she can compromise any of those people in that group so quickly if she really wanted to. And that was really dirty for Sheena.
Yeah, it was. And then whenever Andy asked Sandoval if he thought that Sheena punched Raquel, like what the hell was that? Like the complete dead silence and like his face, like it's like he thought he knew that he didn't have a lie for that question, and that's why he took that long to think about it. Like, good Lord, dude, like just say yes or no. Like there's nothing, you didn't need a lie there or anything like that. Just say yes or no. Just take some accountability.
Right. And then Ariana being like, Tom saying, well, I don't want to upset my relationship. I'm between a rock and a hard place. I don't want to upset my relationship with Sheena. And then they're all just like, especially Ariana, what relationship? Like, you guys, that was already established. Like, there is no relationship. We saw that in like the finale. Like, there's no relationship. Per Sheena said that there's no relationship. Like, respect that. And then whenever he was like, well, I just need to tell the truth. Like, I just need to get the truth out there or something. And Ariana and Sheena both are like, Oh, the truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right
Okay.
now you want to tell the
Sure.
truth
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
about
Like you can
something.
believe your truth. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing too was that, like then Sheena they brought up the Coachella thing that he said to he said in passing at Coachella that they were in an open relationship, and like him just constantly like saying like, well, I got to get the truth out there about something, and then he comes back with an instant lie here like, oh, I never said that, or we don't know if he ever really said that, but I feel like he had to have said that. Like,
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know.
for sure. And not only because too, he never denied not being in the hot tub with her. He never denied not coming on to her. The
Right.
only thing out of the things that he was accused of in that scenario was, well, I didn't tell her that we were in an open relationship. So I'm sorry, you're claiming that one of the three things that was done and said during that period of time you didn't do, but you did do the other. Like you
Mhm.
can't, you can't cop to some of the things that happened at that moment, but not like nobody believes you. Just
Yeah.
Right.
stop.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of nice that Ariana and Tom did some fighting back and forth about coaching because, clearly that's what Tom was trying to do in the whole like first part of the like during the lunch scene, and he never got that chance to do it. And yeah, I just Ariana, like she's been on it this whole time with Tom.
Right. Yeah.
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 And then Sheena ended up leaving because they dismissed for the or Andy gave Sheena the court dismissal. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Which I don't know. Like whenever Raquel, like as Sheena was saying, like just letting it all out, and then Raquel sitting there saying, "I feel like I should have wrote her a personal like note." Like what? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
what?
Yeah. That was the scene last night that I was like, what did she just say? And I couldn't
Yeah.
we couldn't rewind
Oh,
it. So then
that one.
that was what it
Oh my
was. I
gosh, I
forgot to
wish I
tell
would
you
have
that.
known that.
I forgot that. Yeah,
Oh,
because then after rewatching the Peacock version today at lunch, I was like, oh my gosh.
yeah. Yeah.
Like that's
Total
crazy.
disregard. It's like you
Yeah.
just now thought maybe
Just
you
Yeah.
hurt her feelings after
Right.
everything she did for
Right.
you. And this
Right.
is coming from Raquel, who cried over the fact that she's not doing pageants anymore.
Yeah.
She has no capability to show emotion about anybody other than herself.
Right.
She only cares about herself.
Right.
It's shocking. She's like, oh, whoops, I forgot. Like,
Yeah.
what
yeah.
are you doing?
Right. Right. Like, and then it just goes back to show too that like Raquel and Tom both just use people. I mean, they just use these people for their own personal gain, and it's so sad. And then they just toss them whenever they're done with them, and they're just, and then they gaslight them, and like Tom with James of like, well, what relationship? Like we were never that close, and like this scenario too. It's like Gina's literally on the couch sobbing about all of what's happened since this all has broken,
Right.
and she's just sitting back there, stone faced, like
Yeah.
she doesn't care. Like, not an ounce of care on her face of just like, oh, like, if this were any other normal human being, they'd be like, like really upset, like that they upset their friend so much and would be making efforts to repair it, but they just do not give a shit.
I thought it was really interesting that they filed to get this thing dismissed, like pretty much about like the morning of the reunion. It definitely seemed to me that Raquel was trying to not be like it was part of the plan to not be on the show that long, or not be at the reunion the whole time in front of everybody because she didn't want to, or at least her and Tom didn't want her to.
Yeah.
So it just made the whole like it just makes the whole thing seem very suspect. The fact that it kind of comes out during this, but she still can't be there. So it was just filed that morning.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't
Perfect.
seem great.
Yeah. And trying to play the victim and trying like ugh, it's just disgusting. Like, it's so
and then how Sheena and Lala were trying to like, break it down too. Or what they were breaking down that it was Sheena feeling like the ultimate betrayal, and just I don't Ariana was then tearing up too, which then you felt really
Yeah.
bad about that. And
Right.
I don't
Right.
know. It was
Yeah.
just, and then Tom like trying to say he was really sorry to Sheena. Like, how about you say sorry to Ariana? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And not just like a stupid text that's like, I'm so sorry. Like, that's not. And then to just try to post something on Instagram, like, no, that doesn't cut it either.
No.
that's not
Yeah.
an actual thing. Yeah.
And
yeah,
then,
no.
and then Tom coming back with the whole like, we didn't do this maliciously. Well, then like,
There's no other way.
there's no other way
Right.
to describe what you
Yeah.
did, like other than
Right.
malicious. Like,
Right.
that was
Right.
infuriating to like just sit there and watch him continuously do that. Like, oh my gosh, like just take some accountability. Like, you meant it, you did it. Like,
Right.
so
Right.
bad. He's just trying to save any type of face that he has left, and he has none
Right.
left.
Right. And like too, going back, like tying it in with the taking accountability and going back a little bit to like Raquel and the Sheena thing. Like Raquel should have, if she planned on that day being like, we're dismissing this, she should have walked her ass out there and been like, I'm sorry for wasting. I mean, obviously we're not in court, but still, she should have said something to the effect of, I wasted the court system's time. I wasted your time. I'm sorry for the amount of anxiety and like everything that she put on Sheena because of all of this. Like, there should have been more. Like the fact that, and there still hasn't been. Like, not
Gonna
once
put it
has
in her
Raquel-
note.
Yeah. Like, I mean, even I was listening to Sheena's podcast when this was kind of all going on, and like Sheena's like, she went to court on the 29th. Like when she was referencing like their next court date in this episode, like she went and Raquel never showed up. Her legal team never showed up. Like, it's just disrespectful. Like Lala said, like, and I think she talks about it on her podcast of you're clogging up the court systems with your bullshit cases just because you want to be relevant, you want to be the victim, you want to be whatever you want to be and manipulate it anyway. Like, there's real families and people out there who are trying to like get through the court system because it's their own. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just have to, just the fact that she never came out and apologized.
I think
at
the
all for
only
it.
reason that Raquel regretted it was because it was not perceived the way she wanted it to be perceived.
Right. Yes.
And then she was like, "Can I
Yes.
take that back? Give me that back."
Yes.
Like, and it was too
Exactly.
late. She ran out of
Exactly.
time.
Yeah. Damage was already done.
Yeah.
And yeah. It, ugh. Yeah.
It was pretty shitty.
Yeah.
It is
it
very
was-
shitty. Yeah.
Ugh.
And like, I don't get why Raquel constantly throughout all of this, it's like, she's just smiling, always smiling. Like, maybe it's a nervous thing, but
I don't think it's a nervous thing. I think she lacks empathy for others. Like, I
Yeah.
actually don't think that she can do that because, like, I have a feeling she's extremely spoiled. So
Oh,
she
for
didn't,
sure.
she was not making decisions for herself. So she
Right.
doesn't have that capability to think that way. She doesn't think,
Right.
how is so-and-so going to feel if I do this? All she thinks is, what can I do to benefit me? And that's how she goes. And everybody else just falls beside.
Well, there's an article I sent it to Taylor. It was like, I think from Us or something, where I think it was Charlie was talking about Raquel's relationship with her parents. And Charlie said that like Raquel listens to her parents like 100%, and pretty much they have like a full say over her life.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Like considering that she's in pageants, like wouldn't it make sense for them to kind of like tell her what to do and what not to do? And that's why she's so weird and awkward around everybody without like mommy and daddy telling her what to do, because she doesn't.
And
have
that's
to
why
do
she
that.
loves Sandoval, because he tells her what to do.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Right.
It's so wrong.
Yeah. Like filling their shoes. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
literally. Yeah.
This was
And-
the sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but this was the one
No,
part.
no.
This is the part of the episode where I wrote in my notes too, like, is Schwartz even alive? Because we didn't hear a peep from him. And then all of a sudden, that's whenever he popped the pill bottle out, and I was like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
like, what are we doing, dude? Like, I know we already
Yeah.
talked about that, but like, that was the next thing that I had in my notes was
Yeah.
like, he was like just non-existent through the whole show, and then all of a sudden he just had to like they put the camera right on his face, and he just looked like he wanted to be anywhere but in his own skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks so uncomfortable.
Yeah, because I guess the only time going back would have just been whenever Sheena was crying and he was consoling her.
Yeah.
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 Would have been like the
Yeah.
time before that.
He's gonna hide. He doesn't want attention. He wants people to just kind of forget about him for a little bit so that he can come back next season and maybe have a different storyline.
Right.
Yeah.
And then after that, they led into the one-on-one with Raquel, which I was really interested to see. And she like her whole deal, like, oh, I'm here to like take accountability for my actions and stuff like that. Like, okay, like everything, you could tell that she was 1000% coached to say all of this, and it was just so like I just couldn't believe any word that she was saying, and I just wanted her to like just evaporate off the screen. Like I just didn't want to see any more Raquel. Like,
it seemed very scripted.
Right.
Yeah. And there was one part of that too that oh, I think Andy asked when did this all start, or when did you guys start having feelings? And she started talking and was like, I guess we started having feelings, and then she kind of had to pause and be like, yeah, it was guys' night. Like it just seems so like
she planned when she had the feelings.
Yeah. Like that's really convenient. Even your fun little pause is not at all scripted or like you had to think about it. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like we can all see through that. That's not
the other thing that was like super frustrating that you have here in your notes too is that she was hoping that it would work out with her and Ariana, and then she like smiled about it. Like, what an animal. Like, what?
Right.
How is it ever going to work out? How are they going to be like, oh yeah, like you're still a good person? Yeah. You just fucked my boyfriend. How would that, like, what? Like,
and what would have happened? How, even if it went down the way that her and Tom were trying to get it to go down, whatever their plan was, like not the way it played out, but the way they were trying of like making Ariana look bad, then they do break up, then Tom and Raquel do get together, and then maybe it does come out that they were kind of together before, like the gradual thing that they were trying to do or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, did she think even if that scenario happened that she still would have been friends with Ariana? Like, give me a break. Like, no.
Well, she doesn't think in rational terms. She pretty much is sort of like, how do I want this to go? And just assumes it's going to go exactly the way she wants it to go.
Yeah.
And doesn't have a thought that anything could go wrong ever.
No, she always gets what she wants.
Right.
Which leads back to your spoiled comment. Like, she had to have been spoiled because that's how she thinks. Like, super. This whole thing was irritating the shit out of me the whole time that we were sitting through that. And then, like, whenever she was trying to start blaming Ariana in a way, and Andy was like, "It sounds like you're blaming Ariana for this. Like, how is it her fault? Like, even like, I don't know. It was just,
yeah. And like, I think in the Peacock version, she says about like she wants to come back onto the show. I jotted that down. It's like, okay, well, I don't know if it's gonna work out, but I mean,
all she can think about is what she wants.
Yeah.
Not the fact that everyone hates her and no one wants her to be on the show.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And like that, how would you just logistically, how would it work? I mean, how would you make that? Schwartz, Tom, and Raquel does a thing, and then
everybody else does their
main group does a thing.
Yeah. And like, the other thing that was that you also had here too, that I had in my notes too, was that she just smiled through the whole thing. Like, she went in full pageant mode too, where she was like, I gotta smile, I gotta make this pretty face for everyone that can't see past it. And we, like, everyone is hip to we all know the jig now, so like we all get it. Like, you're just a bull-faced liar, you don't care about anybody. And and then she ended up like coming out to the set, and that's when like that's whenever the tension, that's what we were all waiting for.
Yeah.
um
Oh,
and
with that too, I listened to a podcast today. It's Danny Pellegrino. I think he worked with Tom and Ariana like on their cookbook and stuff,
uh-huh
and or on their cocktail book and everything. But he made a comment that I thought was really funny. He's like, I wish they would have made her walk the entire 100 yards like to the set, like, and like the camera people like on a little golf cart just following her, but like she doesn't get the ride, like,
That would be
but then
funny.
like give Sheena the car, like let Sheena get
Yeah.
the car, but like do her a little dirty by making her walk
that would
all
be
the way.
hilarious.
Like she inconvenienced them. Now you get to inconvenience her back. Like,
Yeah.
That's funny. I hope they did that. Yeah, and then that's whenever Schwartz started taking that Xanax, and then the wheels were falling off for him, which we already talked about 100 times already. It feels like, but yeah, I just this is where the episode like ended, and we thought we were gonna get like this is where like too where this was the funny quote from James where he was like, "You got a full bottle on hand," like. I thought that was hilarious. That was hilarious. And then Tom instantly had to try to like come in and like control the narrative about how like, oh well, like it's your medication, and you don't have to tell anybody about your medication. Like,
was that a setup though? Like, was it a setup? Did Sandoval purposefully say, okay, you do this while she's walking out as a distraction, just so that then Sandoval could turn it around and be like, guys, that's his medication. Like, it just seemed too, because he literally said, and he might have been commenting on her coming out. I don't know, but he was like, green light, green light. And as soon as he said green light, Schwartz grabbed the pill bottle. And it was just kind of like, that's weird.
Like, you think to like distract the others
babe.
from watching Raquel walk out.
Or from them having a chance to be like nasty words at her, like for that matter, or something.
I feel like we gotta like on the video like puff some confetti for you there so that you caught that. Like, that was a pretty good catch.
I like that. Yeah, because we got that whenever Tom walked out, like they were all like making their comments. I like that.
Yeah,
that is a really good theory.
It just seemed very strange.
Yeah.
I just as soon as
feel like, sorry, I just want to say, I feel like it sucks too for people that actually take Xanax and need it.
Yeah.
That it just seems cheap, like to do that and in that way, because there are people who aren't able to make it through certain things and be able to function without that, and they hate that they have to take those, and then you're just like, oh, I'm so stressed, let me take one of these as a joke.
It's not, pretty shitty.
It's not great. Not a good look for the position you're in, which is another reason I think it was a setup.
As soon as I heard that green light part, and I didn't think anything of it, and I was like, green light? What? I thought it
was because she was wearing a green dress at first,
and
I was like, wait, what?
And then, but yeah, now that you mentioned that, like that totally is exactly what. Yeah, wow, good job. That's awesome.
Yeah,
good catch.
I'm
proud of you.
I think with my brain.
Yeah, smart lady.
He's always surprised, but
no, I just thought it was a really good catch. Like, that was such a small detail. Like, but yeah.
I like that.
It just felt like once we got to the Raquel part, that was like, okay, now the show's starting. Like, we need the rest of I want another hour, and I mean that's exactly what they wanted, anyways, out of us too. So,
Sheena needed her time though too.
Yeah, I'm glad that Sheena got her time and that she's going to be able to come back.
That's not fair.
Right?
Like, that really, I don't think that Andy addressed that enough, how much that sucks that she couldn't be a part of it because some BS court order was dropped. Right. Like, it's so stupid.
I'm glad that they were able to, they were more accommodating for a castmate that's been there longer than that for somebody that was a piece of shit that just gave like good. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not just gonna mince words here. Like, Raquel, airhead. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone knows how I feel about Raquel. Felt like this for the last like 4 seasons, for however long she's been on. been saying it all along. I should get my own confetti pop here too.
Yeah.
So, because I've been saying it for a while that she's no good. You don't want to give it to me. But yeah, like I wanted more, and I felt like they did string us along a little bit in this episode to get us to the end. But yeah, I feel like there's going to be major fireworks next Wednesday night that are going to be awesome.
I still say it's Schwartz. Something's going to happen with Schwartz.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
I think that's why they haven't been showing him on camera too a lot. They want you to forget about him.
Yeah. I could see that. I think you and I kind of talked about that today, of like Schwartz, like the buildup is happening. Like we saw it in that. We didn't, I guess, get too much of it in this episode.
The preview shows a lot of a build.
Oh,
yes.
really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen I didn't watch the preview yet.
Yeah. And then we get like the big, going back to the first one, the big bear scene, and how like Tom didn't have his back on that.
Yeah.
One,
Yeah.
You know,
that was like laying the crumbs down for the big.
True.
Yeah. I like the other theory too, though, of, were you going to say that? Sorry.
Oh, I've just been thinking about it's
okay. I think I was gonna say too, like with the one theory that you sent of Raquel saying that, or possibly it coming out that Raquel slept with Randall too.
Oh, yes. Yes.
People. I really enjoy that one.
Yeah, I know. Like, as much as I want that to be true, just because I want to be able to also hang that on Raquel and be like, yeah, you really suck. I don't feel, I feel like she's too obsessed with Sandoval almost to do that now. Like last week I didn't, but she just seems so doe-eyed. I'll do whatever you say, follow you wherever you go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She kind of has to be at this point right now, even if she doesn't even want to be, I feel like too.
Well, she is a follower.
She is definitely a follower.
And he is a narcissist. So he's going to tell you what to do. So she's going to follow him.
Right. But she doesn't, even if she, never mind.
And he did this on, like, he isolated her.
Yeah.
So she's isolated. And she doesn't even realize, like, this is a part of his plan. Whether he conscious, subconscious, I mean, why else would you pick your life partner's best friend?
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
You know, you'd have her all to yourself.
Right. True.
Yeah. No, he's fine. And that reminded me too of like the one scene, I think him and Ariana were fighting. And it might have been an extra, I think, on the Peacock episode where they were like going more in depth with like the relationship and talking about how like they didn't, like usually it's money issues or intimacy issues, and Ariana's like, obviously we had the intimacy issues, either address it or end it, and then Tom's like, I did, like, and Ariana's like, after you were already stepping out on the relationship. And then I really like too how she then, because then obviously then see him get defensive and is like, like trying to throw back, and then she says, she calls him out for his tactic of, if someone is saying something you don't like or don't want it to come out, never let them finish the sentence. I was like, good on her for calling him out for that, because I'm like, I mean, I think it was always like, oh, like that's just like a narcissistic trait. But the fact that she's like, you literally told me, coached me to do this, like,
yeah.
And then he still goes on, and still tries to be like, no, that was your tactic, that was what you did, like. Oh my gosh, you're insane. Like, I don't know. It's scary how how manipulative and psychotic he is. Like, I don't. And then them continuing the fight, and then that was the scene when he like turn and call, or it was like motherfucker, like to
Yeah.
Ariana, and then that's what Lisa like looks at him and it's just like, did you just call her a motherfucker? Like, and
Yeah.
everybody, I like some of the memes of everybody being like, really, Lisa? Like that's what you get mad about? You know,
I feel
the
like
whole
that's
cheating
just
thing.
the whole like where she comes from. That's like, you know, like what you
Yeah.
do behind closed doors isn't as big of a deal as the words. And it's just
Yes,
really,
yeah.
Yeah.
Your front image is more
yeah,
important
than who you
than
actually
like
are. It
yes, yes, yeah,
doesn't work
exactly.
that way in real life.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. A very old school mentality of
Hmm.
just how
Don't be
she's
disrespectful.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and approaching all of their situations of just like, oh well, Ariana or like Lala with the Randall thing. Well, you should have seen the signs, and then like Ariana and just like, oh well, like all guys cheat, like you know,
Yeah.
giving Tom the passes that she gave. It's like, come on, like you also. I also don't like to give LVP the old person pass on it because I'm like, you also live in LA.
You're
You're a
surrounded.
progressive
Yeah.
old person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
You do the gay pride parade. Like
yes,
you're not in
yeah.
your old folks' home. You know what's
Right. And
going
it's not
on.
like, yeah, you're surrounded by all kinds of young people who you see affected by this all the time. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get why uh, I don't get why she tries to go that route. I don't she really needs to change her tune because it's
Yeah.
getting old.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm
But,
definitely excited for the part 3, which we will be back with part 3 next week. Hopefully you enjoyed today's part 2. Make sure you like and subscribe, and you download, rate, and review as well if you listen to this in podcast form. And yeah, we just thank you all for listening and watching. Thank you to Taylor and Alan for coming along,
thank you
and
for
thank
having
you,
me.
Allison, as
Thank
well.
you.
And we will see you next week for part 3 of the Vanderpump Rules reunion.